Hello, my friend, and welcome to English Through Stories. Today, we are going to talk about the history of eyeglasses. Take a moment and look around you. Maybe you are reading this on a phone. Maybe you are wearing glasses right now. Perhaps they are resting on your nose, helping you see each word clearly. Have you ever wondered where eyeglasses came from? Who first thought of putting glass in front of the eyes? How did people read books before glasses existed? And what happened to those who could no longer see clearly as they grew older? The answers take us on a fascinating journey through time. It is a story filled with clever ideas, patient craftsmen, famous inventors, and ordinary people who simply wanted to see the world more clearly. Today, millions of people wear eyeglasses every day. They are so common that we hardly notice them, yet behind every pair is a long story stretching back hundreds of years. And as you will soon discover, the road to modern eyeglasses was not simple at all. Now let us travel back in time. Long before eyeglasses existed, people faced a difficult problem. As many people grew older, reading became harder. Words began to blur. Letters seemed to dance on the page. A person could still see distant mountains, but the words in a book became impossible to read. Imagine being a scholar, a teacher, or a monk who spent hours copying books by hand. Your whole life depended on reading. Then one day, the words became blurry. There were no eye doctors. There were no eyeglasses. There was no easy solution. For many people, this meant the end of their reading life. But humans are curious creatures. Whenever a problem appears, someone usually tries to solve it. Thousands of years ago, people noticed something interesting. Certain clear stones seemed to make objects look larger. When sunlight passed through these stones, strange things happened. Images changed. Objects appeared bigger. The stones seemed magical. One of the earliest examples came from ancient civilizations. People in places like Egypt and Mesopotamia worked with polished crystals. These crystals could bend light. They did not create eyeglasses, but they showed that light could be controlled. Nobody knew it yet, but this simple observation would eventually change millions of lives. Centuries passed. Then came the ancient Greeks. Greek thinkers loved asking questions. They studied nature, mathematics, and the stars. Some Greek scholars became interested in how vision worked. Why could people see? How did light travel? What happened inside the eye? Among these thinkers was a man named Euclid, who studied vision and light. Later, other scholars continued this work. They did not invent eyeglasses, but they helped people understand how sight worked. Every new idea was like a small piece of a giant puzzle. And slowly, the puzzle began to come together. But the story was far from over. During the Roman Empire, another interesting clue appeared. A Roman writer named Seneca reportedly used a glass bowl filled with water to make letters appear larger. Imagine sitting beside a window. Sunlight shines through the bowl. The words suddenly become easier to read. It was not a pair of glasses. It was not practical. Yet it showed something important. Glass and water could magnify objects. The idea was there. The world simply needed time to develop it. Many centuries later, an extraordinary scientist appeared. His name was Ibn al-Haytham. He lived during the Islamic Golden Age. At a time when much of Europe struggled through difficult years, scholars in the Islamic world were making amazing discoveries. Ibn al-Haytham carefully studied light and vision. He conducted experiments. He observed how light entered the eye. He wrote detailed books explaining his findings. His work became some of the most important research on optics in history. Future scientists would study his ideas for generations. Without his discoveries, The path to eyeglasses might have taken much longer. But something unexpected happened. Knowledge began to travel. Books moved between cultures. Ideas crossed borders. Scholars translated ancient texts. New discoveries spread across continents. And eventually, all these pieces of knowledge reached medieval Europe. By the late 1200s, Europe was changing. Universities were growing. Books were becoming more important. People wanted to read. People wanted to study. People wanted knowledge. Yet many older scholars faced the same problem. Their eyesight was fading. They desperately needed help. Then came one of the most important moments in the history of vision. Somewhere in northern Italy, around the late 13th century, the first true eyeglasses appeared. No one knows exactly who invented them. Several names have been suggested. Several stories have been told. But the real inventor remains a mystery. Imagine that moment. A craftsman carefully shapes pieces of glass. He creates two lenses. He mounts them together. A person struggling to read tries them on. Suddenly, the blurry letters become clear. Words return. Books come alive again. A world that had been fading suddenly comes back into focus. It must have felt like a miracle. These early glasses looked very different from modern ones. They had no arms resting over the ears. Instead, users held them by hand or balanced them carefully on the nose. The lenses were usually designed to help older people read nearby text. Today, we call this condition farsightedness. Back then, people simply knew that reading became easier with age-related vision aids. News spread quickly. Monks wanted them. Teachers wanted them. Scholars wanted them. Anyone who depended on reading wanted a pair. The demand grew. Workshops began producing more lenses. Glassmakers improved their skills. The eyeglass industry had begun. What happened next changed everything. As the years passed, lens makers became more skilled. They learned how to shape glass with greater accuracy. Better lenses meant better vision. People could read longer. They could work longer. They could continue learning even as they aged. This may sound ordinary today, but in the Middle Ages, it was revolutionary. Books were rare and precious. Knowledge was power. Eyeglasses allowed many educated people to remain productive for years longer than before. Some historians believe eyeglasses played a role in preserving knowledge during this period. Imagine a scholar who might have stopped reading at age 45. Now he could continue reading into old age. He could write more books, teach more students, share more ideas. A simple piece of glass was quietly changing history. Then another major change arrived. In the 15th century, Johannes Gutenberg developed the printing press. Suddenly, books could be produced much faster. Reading became more common. Demand for eyeglasses exploded. More readers meant more people discovering vision problems. And more people needed help. The printing press and eyeglasses formed a powerful partnership. One spread knowledge. The other helped people see that knowledge. Together, they transformed society. But the most surprising part was still ahead. For many years, eyeglasses mainly helped people see things up close. Yet some people had the opposite problem. They could read books clearly, but distant objects appeared blurry. Mountains looked fuzzy. Road signs were difficult to read. Faces became unclear from far away. Lens makers eventually discovered solutions for these problems too. They created different lens shapes. Some lenses helped people see nearby objects. Others helped them see distant objects. Understanding vision became more advanced. the science of optics continued growing, and eyeglasses became useful for more and more people. Meanwhile, eyeglass designs were changing. Early users often balanced glasses on their noses. This was not always comfortable. Imagine trying to read while your glasses kept slipping. People experimented with new designs. Some attached ribbons. Some used cords. Others created unusual frames. Inventors tried almost everything. By the 18th century, a major breakthrough arrived. Glasses with side pieces that rested over the ears became popular. This design felt much more secure. And if you wear glasses today, you are still using the same basic idea. It is remarkable. A design created hundreds of years ago remains part of daily life. But the story was far from over. As science advanced, doctors learned more about the human eye. They studied vision problems in greater detail. They developed better methods for testing eyesight. People no longer guessed which lenses worked best. Instead, experts could measure vision more accurately. During the 19th century, eyeglasses became increasingly common. Factories produced lenses in larger numbers. Frames became more affordable. More people could own glasses. Yet wearing them was not always fashionable. In some places, glasses carried a strange reputation. Some people thought they made a person look old. Others believed they appeared too serious. Many people felt embarrassed about wearing them. Imagine needing glasses, but hiding them because of social pressure. This happened more often than you might think. But slowly attitudes changed. People began seeing eyeglasses differently. They became symbols of learning, symbols of intelligence, symbols of professionalism, and eventually they became part of personal style. Then came the 20th century. The world changed rapidly. Cities grew. Technology advanced. Cars filled the roads. Airplanes crossed the skies. People needed clear vision more than ever. Eyeglass technology improved dramatically. New materials appeared. Frames became lighter. Lenses became stronger. Manufacturers introduced many shapes and styles. Some people wanted glasses that looked elegant. Others wanted glasses that looked bold. Eyeglasses were no longer just medical tools. They became fashion items too. Then another fascinating invention appeared. Sunglasses. At first, they were not exactly what we know today. Different cultures had experimented with eye protection for centuries. In some regions, people used materials to reduce glare from bright sunlight. But modern sunglasses developed gradually as lens technology improved. Eventually, sunglasses became popular around the world. They protected the eyes and created a sense of style. Movie stars wore them. Athletes wore them. Everyday people wore them. Soon, sunglasses became part of modern culture. But something even more surprising was happening behind the scenes. Scientists were learning how to make lenses that could perform incredible tasks. Some lenses could darken automatically in sunlight. Others resisted scratches. Some reduced glare. Others became thinner and lighter. Each improvement made life easier for millions of people. And yet behind all this technology remained the same simple goal: helping people see. That goal had never changed. Think about a child receiving glasses for the first time. Perhaps the child has struggled in school. The board at the front of the classroom looks blurry. Reading feels difficult. The child thinks everyone sees the world this way. Then comes the eye exam. The glasses are fitted. The child steps outside. Leaves on trees suddenly become sharp. Signs become readable. Faces become clear. The world transforms. Many people who receive glasses for the first time describe it as magical. Some are shocked by how many details they had been missing. Some become emotional. Some even cry. Imagine living in a blurry world for years. Then within seconds, everything changes. That emotional moment has happened millions of times throughout history. And it continues today. Nobody could have imagined what came next. In recent decades, technology has pushed vision correction even further. Contact lenses became common. Laser eye surgery emerged. Digital tools helped eye doctors measure vision with incredible accuracy. Researchers continued studying the eye. New discoveries appeared. New treatments developed. Yet eyeglasses remain popular. Why? Because they are simple, reliable, affordable, and remarkably effective. A technology first developed centuries ago still serves humanity today. Few inventions can make that claim. Think about all the famous people who wore glasses. Scientists, writers, teachers, inventors, presidents, artists, students, parents, grandparents, millions upon millions of people. Each pair of glasses tells a small personal story. A story of learning. A story of work. A story of seeing loved ones clearly. A story of reading favorite books. A story of experiencing the beauty of the world. When we look at eyeglasses, we often see only glass and frames. But hidden inside them is a long human journey. A journey filled with curiosity, experimentation, mistakes, patience, and determination. The history of eyeglasses teaches us something important. Many great inventions begin with simple observations. A polished crystal, a bowl of water, a question about light, a desire to solve a problem. That is how progress often happens. Not through one giant leap, but through thousands of small steps. One person discovers something. Another improves it. A third person builds upon it. Generation after generation, knowledge grows. Eyeglasses are a perfect example. No single person created modern vision technology alone. Countless people contributed. Scientists studied light. Craftsmen shaped glass. Doctors examined eyes. Inventors designed better frames. Each person added another piece to the puzzle. There is another lesson too. Sometimes we take everyday objects for granted. We use them every day without thinking. Yet many of these objects have incredible stories behind them. A simple pair of glasses may seem ordinary, but they connect us to centuries of human creativity. They remind us that even small inventions can change lives. After all, what could be more valuable than seeing clearly? Seeing a loved one smile, reading a favorite story, watching a sunset, looking at the stars. These moments matter. And for millions of people, eyeglasses make them possible. As our journey comes to an end, imagine those first lens makers in medieval Italy. They could never have known how far their invention would travel. They could never have imagined modern cities filled with people wearing glasses. They could never have imagined lightweight lenses, designer frames, or advanced eye care. Yet their work helped shape the future. Their simple idea changed the lives of countless people they would never meet. And perhaps that is the beauty of human history. Small ideas can create enormous change. A tiny piece of glass can open a whole new world. The next time you see a pair of eyeglasses or put on your own, remember the long journey behind them. Remember the generations of thinkers, craftsmen, and dreamers who helped bring the world into focus. And remember that even the simplest objects around us often hold extraordinary stories. What part of this story surprised you the most? Have you ever thought about where eyeglasses came from before today? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy relaxing stories that help improve your English, subscribe and join our growing community here at English Through Stories. Until next time, take care, keep learning, and never stop looking at the world with curiosity.